Kiana's excited.
I'm tired.
For about 45 minutes now, I tried to show her what I came up with yesterday after an hour and a half of playing around with tap tempos and sending tap tempos out of an analog control output into an analog tap tempo input on delays. Could you even follow that sentence?
Yeah, I could, but only thanks to explanation before.
So, obviously, if you have a MIDI-capable pedal, you can send MIDI signals called MIDI clock or MIDI tap tempo to trigger the tempo in your pedal. Now, we're dealing with two pedals here, which is the Boss DD7, relatively standard digital delay, and also the Walrus Audio Bellwether. Why Walrus Audio? Because I have a lot of them here and they're cool and I'll want to. And that's an analog, a tappable, fully analog delay, which is pretty cool. Now, this is complicated, to say the least. But let me explain this. There's two ways you can tempo control your delays. One is you simply define one of the switches. We're not going to go into external switches. Anything you can do with an internal ES-8 switch, you can do with an external switch. Only know that first you have to disable... It's Metal Peter. Yes, Mr. Metal Peter, we are filming. What's up? That means we have half an hour to film this video. Go right ahead. When you're here, you're here. Yeah. Okay. We have to talk really fast.
Okay.
Okay, so if you want to use an external switch, disable its function from control 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, whatever you plugged it in, so that you can assign it to a different function. So we're not going to deal with that anymore. I was going to throw it, but we're going to break shit. I usually throw things. So, yeah, let's put that in. Okay, so there's two ways. First of all, you click on a switch, which is sending a control signal out of the designated control out, and that's tapping your delay, and that's it. So that way, you could technically have a global tap tempo, which will always stay there. As long as you make that switch, in every single patch that you do, you always have your one switch for tap tempo. So the ES-8 doesn't remember that, right?
Right.
Okay. That's one way to do it. The other way is to have the ES-8 control the tempo, which you can save with each patch. Each patch you can manually type in a specific beats per minute, and that is being sent to your external delays. But that means that you cannot tap them directly out of the control out. You understood that much, right? But what you can do is use a foot switch to change that internally stored beats per minute, right? Which then gets sent out. So it's pretty much the same thing as controlling it directly, but let me show you how to control it directly. That's actually relatively simple. We have, as you can see, no, you cannot. Now you can. We have the DD7 right here, and we have the bellwether. I'm going out with this insert cable, which is a tip ring sleeve. Out of 1 and 2. And it took us a while to figure out which one is 1, which one is 2, because we have 2 mono cables, and then... So that's a little bit of a pain in the ass. So if you're using an insert cable, I actually really don't know. You just have to... I played around with it. So we figured out that the white one is... That's not a racial thing, by the way. The white one is number 1. That's just so wrong. I'm sorry.
Only because you pointed it out.
So the cable with the white labeling is number 1.
Now we're labeling cables. Wow, that's getting really racist.
The poor cable.
I know, right?
And then the red cable here is control out 2. So with you can see a little blinky thing here, and you can see a little blinky thing here. So what you do is we figured out that in order to send a tap tempo signal, it's just a latching signal. So latch is fine. So by that I mean when you go into edit and your play option, that control 1 and control 2 are okay when they're set to latch. So you don't have to change anything there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So this should be fairly easy.
Should be. Let's hope it works.
So I'm on preset number 1 here. I'm gonna go to control expression. And I want bank up to be my tap tempo. So I go, of course, as always, to bank up. I hit enter. And I remove the bank up function from the bank up switch by turning it off. And exit. Now I'm gonna go to our favorite thing, which is assign. I love that it's way at the end and we always have to click our little fingers to the bone.
Your little fingers. Right. They're so tiny.
I have little dainty fingers.
Like a princess.
Aren't you just a delight? Okay, I hit assign. I turn the switch. Oopsie. I turn the switch on. No, I turn the switch on. As my source, I want bank up. There we go. I'm gonna make this a toggle. I think it has to be toggle, but I'm not sure. My category will be external control, because that's what we're doing. We're just going, I click this thing, send a signal out of control out 1, which will be my bellwether. Control out 1, and that's it. So hypothetically, now,
It's working.
it's worked. And you could see it started switching when I hit the bank up several times, and that's an important thing. Your delay might be different. So let me see. It takes a few clicks. I think it takes 4, maybe. But it takes a while for it to change the tempo. Now let me do the same thing with the DD7. And all I do is I just change it to control 2. Oops, nope. Because that's where we have the DD7. Let's see when the DD7 changes. Faster, which is important. But now, let's see. Well, of course, in order to hear that, we're gonna have to turn them on, right? So DD7 is on loop 6. I'm gonna turn that on. That's working beautifully. And so I turn 7 on, I go back to edit, enter, enter. Instead of control 1, I'm gonna do control, instead of control 2, I'm gonna do control 1. Now we hear in the bellwether. No, we don't. It's gotta be on. Ah. Wait. Do I have to be... Ah, okay. With each tap, it took half of that. So if I'm the bellwether, I'm on quarter note right now, and I'm tapping this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's actually doing half notes. So it's interpreting what I'm doing here as half notes. So if I want this to be quarter notes, I have to be on eighth notes here. I wonder if that changes if I change it to momentary. I mean, You know what I'm talking about? You have no clue, right?
Mm-mm.
Let's find out what happens if I turn this to momentary. Wait, I go back to quarter notes. Haha.
It worked. But I don't know what you did.
See, when I said toggle, it's something about every second signal.
Okay.
It recognized every second signal as a trigger. And therefore, I went 1, 2, 3, 4, but it only did 1, 2, 3, 4. So in order to get what I was tapping, I had to switch to eighth notes. But if I went to momentary, it's actually recognizing that as each step. So, bottom line, forget about what I just said. Depending on your delay, you might have to work with the momentary or the toggle to get what you're doing as quarter notes. Because what I was doing, it was recognizing as half notes. So if you don't know where to look, if it's doing half or double, half of what you're doing. If it's doing half of what you're doing, look at the momentary versus toggle function on that assigned thing. Does it make sense? Okay. So this is pretty much how you do it. If you're just going straight out, this switch goes to the delay, done. But obviously the nice thing is that the ES-8 can remember your beats per minute. Do you have any idea what we have to do in order to get there, Kiana? We went through this. We went through this, little lady.
We went through this.
Of course, it has to do with numbers and math, which is really not your strong
Really
suit.
not my thing,
not
no.
your thing.
Well, you have to change the beats per minute on the thing itself, basically.
But in order for the beats per minute to be sent out to the boxes, what do I have to change in the play option? Does it stay on latch?
If you ask like that, no.
No, it doesn't. So let's do this. I'm going to switch my external control outs to no longer be latch. I'm telling the ES-8 that those control outs, 1 and 2, will be used for tap tempo. Okay? And that means that the function we just assigned, which is right here, external control, control 1, which means that the bank up will go directly to the bellwether, will no longer work. So you have to determine whether your delays are triggered by the internal tempo of the ES-8, meaning the beats per minute that you can see in the display, or by always just a normal tap foot switch. There's a way to still make this work, and I will show you, but in this menu here, in this display, you always see a beats per minute. We can make it so that each patch has a fixed beats per minute that you can still alter if you want to. But first we're gonna make 3 patches with 3 distinct speed differences. 3 distinct speed differences.
You did well.
I did goodly, huh?
You did really goodly.
Yeah. So we're gonna go, and on number 1, make it really slow. 60. Right. On number 2, we're gonna stay with 120. And on number 3, we're gonna go with ridiculous speed.
As ridiculous as you?
No.
Oh, no.
There is no
Not
speed that's that fast.
Okay.
Okay, so 251, not 250. 251.
Awesome.
So, I will go into the edit and I will change my play option. Remember, that is global. I'm changing control out and 2 to be globally now for sending those beats per minute to my delays. So, am I in here? So, control 1 is my bellwether, which we figured out before. It might take you a while to figure out which of the 2 is which. We've talked about this. So, instead of latch, instead of pulse, instead of inverted pulse, not inverted polarity, polarization. You have a TP2, TP3, TP4, and TP for my bunghole. No? Not funny? Funny. You know, Beavis and Butthead? You know, Beavis and Butthead?
I know Beavis
Do
and
America
Butthead.
take Americans?
Yeah, I know Beavis and Butthead. It's okay. Let's just continue. I think this is more important than your weird jokes.
It's funny.
I'm too tired to find this funny.
TP2 means it is sending 2 pulses and the delay reacts to those 2 pulses, which is what I said before. Remember, notice how the DD7 reacts to 2 of these pulses. TP3 sends 3 and TP4 sends 4 pulses to your delay. So depending on your box, you might have to experiment with that so that it reacts. We know the bellwether needs 4 clicks, and the DD7 is cool with 2. So I'm going to switch this to TP2. Control 1 is the bellwether. Control 2 is the DD7. I would love if we ever got the good version of the ES-8 with an editor and Bluetooth and whatever, that instead of calling this Control 1 and Control 2, in an editor, I can rename them to what's actually attached to them. So that would say Bell W and this would say DD7. How easy would that be?
That would be cool.
So I wouldn't have to remember what the crap I plugged in there. So these are global parameters, which I'm writing. I don't know why. I think it's global. So right now, I'm switching, and you notice that nothing's happening. Because what do I also have to do for each patch so that they react to that speed?
You need to assign?
In the assign menu? No.
Oh, okay.
Remember here.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, for patch number 1, control 1 and 2 is not sending anything. They're off. And instead of being now on-off switches, once you've defined that they're tap outs, now for each patch, which is actually very cool, you can say what musical subdivision is being sent out based on the main tempo. Remember, on 1 we had tempo 60 beats per minute, and now I can say to the bellwether, I would like quarter notes, and to the DD7 I would like dotted quarter. Now that is freaking awesome. What I want to check out is, first of all, if it works, and then I want to find out, remember that the bellwether was actually doing half the speed of the DD7 because of the momentary versus toggle.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I remember
Okay.
it.
So I want to know if I'm actually sending quarter notes with the TP4 to the bellwether. You know what I mean? How, boss? How? If it's actually working. First of all, now actually I need to do this on 2 as well. On 2. Come away. So that I want to see the difference in speed. Right. And then the 251. Again, you have to do this for each patch. So for each patch where you want the tempo to be sent to your delay, you have to define the subdivision. Really, if I had to program this for a show, I would go nuts. That's about 2 weeks of work.
You're nuts already.
Oh, well then this is just the right product for me. So, let's see. I've defined the quarter notes to go out. Ooh, check this out. They're going nuts. Wait, I'm gonna turn the camera on and off so that it doesn't go away at the inappropriate moment. Good. They're both going nuts. They're going less nuts. They're going the least kind of nuts. What?
Nothing.
So that seems to work. Now I want to know. Of course, we have to turn 7 on for all 3. Well, it's an analog delay. That means when it changes the delay time, whatever it had before, you know the drill. Oh, we can't hear it. This is working. We actually have done something that works. So I want to know compared to the I'm just going to turn 6 on all 3 as well. I want to know if they're actually doing the same speed. So on all 3, I'm turning 6 and 7 on, but I'm turning the bellwether off, so I can. Yes, they're doing the same speed. So what we had to deal with before with the toggle versus the pulse, not an issue when you do the TP4 and the TP2. Do you know what I'm talking about? I really hope you know what I'm talking about. You know TP4 and TP2? TP4 and TP2? So, you define, depending on your delay, how many pulses it sends to do the external tap. You define this in, let me repeat, the play option, where you set latch, pulse, inverted pulse, or then the TP2, TP3, TP4. And the bellwether needs the TP4, the DD7 needs the TP2, or tap 4, tap 2. And then it's still not sending the beats per minute out. What do you have to do?
You have to turn on the right control.
On the control outs, for each patch where you want the beats per minute to be sent out, you have to define the subdivision. So now, of course,
Yes,
the cool thing is that's what you meant. Yes, sure. So now I can do dotted quarters for the DD7. Not check this shut out. Check shasho. And I'm going to take the DD7 in a parallel loop, which we do like this, which we don't do like this. Here. And the 6. Here, 6 and 7 parallel. So technically we should have quarter note analog delays with dotted quarter digital delays.
It's beautiful.
But why don't I have a guitar signal? Where's my guitar signal? I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna what?
The video was going so well.
It was going so great. I'm gonna maybe because I did this with the stereo loop. I'm gonna make a mono loop here. Here. And 6, I'm gonna move 7 in. Oh, come on. It's beautiful. It's just, where's my guitar signal? I think it's going out of the wrong output in the back, in the end. Because I have, I'm gonna figure this. We're gonna do this. I'm sorry. Play option preference. We're gonna turn this into mono. Mono. Right. And now it should be. Can anyone explain to me where my guitar signal went? Where's my guitar signal? So if I make a parallel loop. I'm gonna move 6 into the parallel loop. I'm gonna move 7 into the parallel loop. Yeah, okay, well, that's not working. It was such a good idea, though.
It was amazing.
It's totally working when it's not parallel, but something about the parallel loops is very messed up. Of course, that saved it. Here you go. Beautiful. So, one last thing. What's wrong with those parallel loops? Boss, what is wrong? Why? Why did that just... Why? Oh, I'm gonna have to switch my legs again. I'm a leg switcher. So, we have... When's Peter coming? In 2 minutes. So, I'm gonna show you how to change the bank up switch, which we remembered we defined as the external thing. We already took the bank up function away from it. And so, instead of the category, I want to make this a tap tempo now. Instead of the category being external control, which we can't use, right? Because we defined that the external, that they have the TP1 and the TP2 and TP4. Instead of the external control, I'm changing this to BPM tap. And now this will change my beats per minute for that patch. It will change the internal ES-8 tempo, which then will be passed on to the external devices. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So, as you can see right here, 60 beats per minute. That easy. If I go to patch number 2 now, will it still do that? Why not?
Because it's just changing the internal thing in the ES-8.
Okay, but if I go to patch number 2, will bank up still have that function?
Oh, no, because patch number 2 has a different beat.
Not the beat. In patch number 2, bank up has not been assigned as a tap tempo.
Ah, right.
In patch number 2, bank up will do
120. What was it?
I'm losing it.
Oh.
No, this is great because you are those guys and you are also me. This is good because this is good that you're not getting this. In patch number 2, bank up will do bank up.
Ah.
Only in patch number 1, bank up will not do bank up.
Mm-hmm.
So in patch number 2, if I hit bank up, it wants to do bank up.
Ah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. Bank down. In patch number 1, bank up will be my tap tempo. Mm-hmm. So you see, I can go to these patches. If I go to 1, it has 60 beats per minute. That is saved. I can change it. But saved is my 60. So I can change that at any point in time. If I want that for patch number 2, I want the same thing. Either when I set up my ES-8, I have to copy this one patch to all the other patches. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is do that for every single patch. Remove bank up function from the bank up and assign beats per minute tap tempo to that switch.
Okay.
Pain in the freaking ass. Mm-hmm. Trust me, guys, I've programmed quite a few loopers in my days. Have a whole room full of them, literally. This is not the elegant way to do it. you're changing the tempo on an analog delay, it will do the sounds. You know? So, this is analog tab tempo. Quick and easy video, come on, totally simple. You got it. Did you get it? Now, why don't the parallel loops work? That's really bugging me. Why was the guitar gone?
You'll figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, thank you guys for sticking with us again. I really don't want to do more of these, do you?
I'm getting tired.
How many more topics do we have? We've barely scratched the freaking surface of this thing.
And it's gonna get more complicated.
I want to do bi-amping. We have yet not even inserted a preamp. We haven't worked with an effects loop. We haven't even touched MIDI. Mm-hmm. Yay! See you on the flippity flop whenever we find the energy to do more of these. Thanks for sticking with us. No, you should thank us. Actually, that's what you should.
We're the heroes.
Why
here.
are we thanking these people? Come on,
You're very
fight
welcome.
with this thing. You're very.
You're welcome.
Bye.